Hi, everybody. Nate Eaton here, and we have Lisa Valentine Clark joining us today for isolation inspiration. If you've watched a few shows on BYUtv or even movies, I think Once I Was a Beehive, is that what it was called?
Yep.
And you also do a morning radio show.
Yes, the Lisa Show on BYU Radio. You can download it at the BYU Radio app with Richie T.
So, Lisa, how have you been doing, you and your family, with this quarantine, self-isolation over the past few weeks?
I have to give props to my kids. They're doing pretty great. They're really helpful. They're all like teenagers, right? I mean, my youngest is 12 because she's the youngest of 5. She is a little older for her age. And so we're trying to navigate high school classes and elementary school classes and taking care of their dad, and it's a lot, but we're having a good time and just trying to like stay to a schedule.
You mentioned your husband, their father, who is battling ALS.
Mm-hmm.
And for those people that don't know what ALS is, how can you describe it?
ALS is the worst. It's the worst disease. It's a degenerative neurological disease. And so basically the synapses in your brain send out messages to your muscles, but they get intercepted. They don't work. They don't know why. They don't know what causes it. There's no treatment. There's no cure. So you slowly your muscles atrophy. So he needs full-time care. So we're in self-isolation. And so we usually have a team of CNAs and physical therapists and a nurse and everything coming in to check on him. And so now we're just doing it.
You're doing it. And he has complete full brain function, can understand everything that's going on.
Yeah. Still super funny, still charming, still good looking, still smart as a whip. But he communicates, with a computer, like a Stephen Hawking device. Yeah.
And you're working full time as well.
Yes. I tell you, I think that's probably what's giving me sanity, honestly, because doing the Lisa Show every morning, and it's 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Pacific, 5 a.m.
8 Eastern, 5 Pacific.
Like, what day is it?
That's an early show.
We're up so early.
Yes.
But it's a lot of fun. And honestly, so my co-host is Richie T. Stedman, and he's really funny. And we just look at each other like, okay, what do people need? How can we help? And so we try to make it entertaining, but also inspiring and highlighting all the good that's going on, that's happening. And also informational and things that people are worried about or thinking about. Like we just did a great interview about, okay, so if you've lost your job, what can you do? Who's hiring? What are the free resources out there that can help you? What if you're a freelancer? That kind of stuff. But then we also, like I said, do inspirational things of like, well, hey, here's what, people are doing that is funny or good or that's helping a ton. And here's how you can help too from home. And then Richie and I try to make you laugh and have a good day. And so really having that show to go to every morning, wake up early. I get in there, super early. What did we decide? Yeah, it's 6 a.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah.
And we do a live 2-hour show, and then it repeats. And if you don't catch it, you can listen to a podcast when you just download the BYU Radio app. And we're just trying to do something positive. And anyway, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like we're trying to do something fun and inspirational and informative. And so it feels like the right thing to do at this moment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think people are looking for that. That's one of the reasons we're doing this series. Yeah. You mentioned that people have lost their jobs. People are going through the virus themselves, fighting it, or they know of loved ones who have passed away. I would imagine that when your husband got his diagnosis, that was a slam in the face, kind of your own little coronavirus or whatever. How did you keep your head up during that time, and how have you continued all these years later?
That's a really good question, because I feel like when I go online and I see what people are saying and the way that they're like, this is trauma, this is grief, and we still have to like move forward, I think, oh yeah, I know what that feels like. Because getting that diagnosis 4 years ago was just a shock, and and I won't go into the details about all of that, but because there are a lot, but I know what that feels like. And so when I see it coming again, it brings up kind of that same anxiety. And I think, well, what helped me 4 years ago just to wake up and get out of bed? Well, what helped me still go to work? Well, what helped me still cook dinner for my kids? What made me do that? And so I can draw on my own experience, but yet I also feel like it's not like one size fits all. And so like on the show, I try really hard not to make it so self-focused. So I think, oh, this worked for me, but this might work for you, or this or that. And that's why we try to bring on a lot of different kinds of people and a lot of different voices for that show. But definitely I'm still in it. I mean, nothing can ever prepare you for when a doctor sits down and says, okay, you have this disease. It's very rare. There's no cure. There's no treatment. And the average lifespan of someone living with it is 2 to 5 years. Like, what do you? And so we just had the 4th year anniversary of him. He went from being, talking, walking, doing everything normally to now 4 years later, he can move his neck and one thumb to control his speech device. And that's it. And so that's a lot of change in 4 years. And so we are always trying to move forward. The attitude that Christopher has had is instead of focusing on what I can't do, let's just focus on what I can do. So that's easier said than done. And there's certainly hard days. And there's days where you think, oh, this is so great. He's still here. It's great. And so allowing yourself to feel all the feels and not try to push them away, but also saying, okay, well, what do I have control over now? And so when I look at him, I think he's still like blinking to say yes, or he's still communicating and typing things out. He's still here. He's still funny. Is really, and focusing on that is really great. So I know it's really hard to, have a little blip of saying like one size fits all. But I will say that as the world is, we're all trying to go through this thing and we don't understand it. We don't know how long it's going to last. And it hurts and it feels like a grieving and a mourning, to acknowledge that. And I think wake up every day and say, okay, well, what can I do? What can I do to help somebody? What can I do to be grateful? And if I don't feel like it, what can I do to sort of trick myself out of it? Yeah. Like, do I need to go bake something? Do I need to go exercise? Do I need to take a nap? I mean, it's like treating yourself like a little child and saying, what is it do I need in this moment to be able to move forward?
And I think you mentioned reaching out. There's a local woman here named Mindy Reese. Her husband died of ALS at Christmas time in his 30s, 4 young children. She says when they first got the diagnosis, she did all she could to reach out to other people in her situation to just talk and relate one to another.
It's so important. Yeah. Yeah, we were able to do that upon the first diagnosis, and we had a nice little group of us that, and we went to the first support group. And I remember Chris was like, I don't know anyone else with ALS. This was so great just to meet somebody. The other side of that too is that we've gone to a lot of funerals of our friends, Yeah. And it's one of those diseases that you're just like, man, some doctors have called it, and I 100% call it the nice guy disease. The nicest people get ALS. And that's been my experience as well. But it's true. Like, you can't do it alone. Like, even if you were like, I'm good, you wouldn't be able to survive, especially a huge disease like that. And I think that there's lessons that everybody can take like that. 'Cause sometimes I want to keep those things sort of like private, like, well, how we're dealing with, this horrible disease. Sometimes my inclination is to be like, well, I don't want to talk about it. It's horrible. I don't want you to know what we're going through because it's the worst. But then those times that I do sort of reach out to a friend or talk to somebody who has been through it or has gone through it, it does, I don't know, there is something special about that clicks, that makes you feel like you don't have to carry it by yourself.
Yeah. You wrote a book, didn't you? Didn't you write a book about it?
Not about that. I wrote a book a few years ago called, it's Real Moms, Making It Up as We Go. And it's a collection of personal essays about motherhood. Okay. And it's funny and lighthearted and touching.
How did you get into acting and performing? Was that something you've always been interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I did it in high school and things like that. When I came to college, I was an English major studying to be a teacher. And I joined the Garen's comedy troupe. And we did sketches and improv. And just met the best people with it. And then since then, just kept doing it. And I've had lots of different jobs and careers. And I was like a high school teacher. And then I would act on the side. And then I was a stay-at-home mom, and then I would do voiceovers on the side. And then I started the Thrillionaries improv as comedy troupe with 4 other of my friends, and we would do that. And then it didn't make money, and then it did make money, and it's just been and then your friend works for an advertising agency and asks you to audition for this, and then before you know it, you've done some commercials and a lot of voiceovers and a couple of movies, and it's just been so fun that I've just kept doing it and kept doing it.
Favorite role you've done? Do you have one?
Oh, I do have a special place in my heart for Carrie Carrington and Once I Was a Beehive.
Yeah.
I do. I really, really loved playing that part.
And you did random acts on BYUtv for 7 years.
Love random acts. I'm still really close with the that cast and crew. It's an amazing production that they do.
Yeah.
Those guys. And now doing show-offs on BYUtv, which you can download all of those on the BYUtv app. That was really fun because then that sprang from like all my friends from the Once I Was a Beehive group and all my friends from, sort of that improv world. We were able to sort of play around on that stage. And that had been a dream in the works for a long time as well.
Yeah, we talked with Kirby Hayborn the other day about his show. He said the same thing. If you have the app, you can watch him from anywhere for free, which is the best. You don't have to pay.
Yeah. No, it's so great.
Is there anything else, Lisa, that you want to leave with our audience before we go today about, how to keep your head up, how to, push through this and get to the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we're in this together, that we have an opportunity to give each other the benefit of the doubt, right? Especially now. And as we are spending more time on social media and doing that comparison game that no one wins, by giving each other like a little grace and looking for the good and looking for the best and allowing yourself 5 to 10 minutes every day to feel sorry for yourself or to ugly cry in your pantry or in your master closet bathroom is fine. Do that. But after 5 or 10 minutes, wipe off the tears and get on with your day and do what needs to be done. And I think that good things can come out of that.
All right. Lisa Valentine Clark, you can hear her every morning at 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever time on BYU Radio.
Listen, it's super early on the West Coast, 5 a.m. There you go.
All right. And if you miss it and want to listen at night, you can catch that too.
Download the podcast.
Yes. Thank you so much, Lisa. Next time you're in Eastern Idaho, stop in and say hi.
I will.